Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Adoptions from the Heart TV. I'm your host, Amanda Aliberti. We are super excited today because we have the opportunity to sit down with two birth parents, Sharmaine and Lakeisha, and they're going to talk a little bit about their experience, not only placing their child for adoption, but choosing to place their child with families who are of a different racial background than their own. So thank you, Sharmaine and Lakeisha, for tuning in today and participating on this call.
You're welcome.
Do either of you have any thoughts on, your connection to open adoption and you being involved in your child's life and being a racial mirror for your child? Like, is that important to you, and does that serve a purpose in part of why you want to stay connected in their life through open adoption so that your child can have a representation of
Yes.
their culture, of their racial background? Like, does that serve any purpose?
Like, it's gonna be my house. When that hair starts getting, this is sweet. When that hair starts getting long and those coils start tightening up, she may need a little help. I might braid her hair or, things that just as a family or me as a person, because I just felt like this was my opportunity just to have a whole little family that we connected and we made together. Just make sure that unity is always first. You guys always work together because you need that. It really didn't matter what her skin color was to me. But once this stuff started happening, I am a little terrified for her. Because I don't want people hating her. I don't want people seeing her with this beautiful little baby and they don't see that. They see the hate. But when I saw the profiles, it didn't matter that they were white to me. And that was just their, I just want them to teach my daughter culture. I want them to educate her properly. I want to look at the things that we're supposed to look at. I don't want them to be scrutinized too. I fear for her as far as the hate that is out there. We cannot minimize or look past that at all. She's gonna just face some stuff that she shouldn't have to face. That's what bothers me.
He did choose open adoption because he is going to have questions, and I wanted to be the one to give them to him. I didn't want them to be made up or, well, I think this or I think that. If he had any questions, I wanted it come from me. Hey, this is what happened. This was the situation. Even doing with health issues, like I do have health issues, and so he needs to know what the background his family is. So I chose open adoption because I wanted to still stay in contact with them and be the one to answer his questions. I didn't want nobody to feed his mind. Well, this could have been that or this. No, this is what the situation was. So.
Great. My next question for you both: when you decided to place your child, and specifically you placed with a white family, what was the feedback from the people within your community, specifically within the Black community in your lives? Did you receive any positive or negative reactions from people?
I didn't. It was more about me just placing her. They didn't understand, and I didn't feel the net obligation to explain it, obviously, because I'm having the babies here. And you guys were nowhere. And now you're like, I could have took her. Well, why didn't we make this plan? So no, it wasn't. The backlash was more of me making the decision. It really wasn't about, color.
Do either of you have any advice for a woman or a man who's facing an unplanned pregnancy and they are Black and they are facing a lot of backlash and pressure from their community, from their family, from their friends, that adoption's not the right option? Do you have any advice for them of kind of how to deal with that pressure?
Prayer. Leave them alone. Don't feel pressured to explain anything to them. This is the decision that if it's both of you, prayerfully, that is the situation. But if it isn't, because it's really not, or things happen, however, make sure that it is you that you're worried about, because it's your heart that you have to protect. It's you.
I piggyback on Lakeisha. It's your personal decision. You have to live with that decision. Right. You cannot force somebody to understand. Well, that's not right. Well, you're not going to, are you going to raise a child? Are you going to financially take care of the child? So you have to put your child and yourself in the best situation. Like Lakeisha said, you have to pray about it, because it is not easy. Trust and believe. There was days when I was sitting there like pregnant and by myself, like what I'm going to do. And it's, at the end of the day, it's your decision. You can't be pressured and do something. And then, because if you're pressured to do something, you're going to regret it. You're definitely going to regret it at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Make sure it is you that is making the decision, because only you can understand wholeheartedly what you are doing and why you're making this decision.
So ladies, can you tell me a little bit of what you feel are some of the major stereotypes about adoption within the Black community, and what your experience has been as Black individuals?
They'll be abused. Like something bad is gonna happen, like because it's two different races, that it can't be successful. Just that it won't work, or they're not gonna know how to do their hair, or just that. Not them thinking that the two cultures can't collide.
Sharmaine, how about for you? What do you feel like is one of the biggest stereotypes?
That the child is going to end up leaving their adoptive family and want to go be with their birth parents. And that's not true. Maybe they want to get to know their family a little bit more. So don't feel like they're going to neglect you to go spend time with their birth family, because they need that too.
Right.
So ladies, I think that in hearing your stories, specifically you, Sharmaine, of the struggles when you were reviewing profiles and not being able to have more options in terms of diversity, we want to do a better job. We want to be able to bring in more families of various racial backgrounds so that women and men can have the options that they want when they're choosing. What would be some advice you have specifically for Black families who are considering adoption, but maybe are a little bit cautious of what is this going to look like? Am I going to be okay with openness? What would be your advice to those families of why you feel there's a need for them to come on board and be prospective adoptive parents?
I think sitting down with somebody who's a young lady who has been through that already, who has given their child up for adoption, so maybe that person can maybe ease their fears a little bit. Like you said, ask the hard questions. You need to know the hard questions. What was you feeling? What was your emotional thinking? Just having a one-on-one conversation, or even having a forum, because I think we talked about that, like having a forum, bringing people like us in and say, hey, especially for me, I did want to have a family. I mean, I'm sorry, but I hope it doesn't sound cruel, but I did want my child to grow up in an African-American family, and I didn't have that option. So if we had more Black people who are willing to try, or, want to be adoptive parents, hey, this is what you have to do. This is what my experience was. And if there were more families out there, then this wouldn't be happening. So.
Right. And the big comment of know that you should do it for the right reason. Because if you're doing it for the right reason, and you're just showing up and showing out to give this baby love, give this heart child to be open, and make sure that that door is open for that family to become one. Because it doesn't have to be this family over here, that family over there. I feel like I just made my family bigger. Just that oneness is necessary. It needs to be, if one side is not open, or, make sure that those stipulations are named so each side knows what's up. Nobody's expecting like what happened to you. Togetherness is so necessary if it's possible.
And like we keep saying, race can sometimes be a very intimidating conversation, and these are not easy conversations, but we're having them. And
have them. Have on in there.
Absolutely. Can you give any form, like what would be your biggest piece of advice for a white individual who's raising a child who is Black? What would be your biggest piece of advice, especially with what's been going on in today's world? What could you advise them on?
Educate yourself and educate them. Educate your whole family. Don't be afraid to touch the hard stuff. You have to touch the hard stuff. I start with that for real, because you have to start the healing as soon as possible.
What about you, Sharmaine?
Once again, like you said, is you have to educate, know what you're getting yourself into, because as long as your child's going to go through it, you're going to go through it too. So it's just not your child going through it. It's both of you. So you're going to have to learn how to toughen your skin, because raising a Black child today, you have to be toughened to raise that child. Make sure you're doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Go to somebody, maybe a friend, if you do know somebody that is a Black person. Well, I'm going through this with my child. What can I do? Talk to people that are of color. Talk to people, a friend or somebody. Join a support group.
Right.
So, like I said, educate. Like Lakeisha said, educate yourself. It's not going to be easy, because it's not. It's not.
Well, ladies, as always, you continue to just be super inspiring, and your selfless decisions to put your child first is amazing, and we're so proud of both of you. And I'm really just happy that you both were courageous enough to come on camera and share your story and spread more awareness, because I think we're all trying to work together to figure this out, and nobody has all the answers. And, you know, as a white individual joining this call, I'm just trying to learn as well. And I think all of us connecting and trying to, like we said, spread more awareness and help educate people, work together to try to, quote unquote, build a better world. It starts here.
It sounds whatever, but it's possible.
And I love to see you smiling and happy, and you're just amazing women, and I'm happy to be a part of this. So thank you so much. We're hopeful that we've reached out to others in the community that want to learn more about adoption, specifically race relations, as we're discussing, and we hope you tune in next week. Thanks so much, guys, and we'll see you soon.